So in the alchemical process, Harry first comes into contact with petty desire, or the prima materia, represented by Dr. Kaufman. And at the end of his journey at Alchemy Hospital, Harry meets Lisa, whom personifies this petty desire that Dahlia warns Harry about. So she's warning Harry not to give in to petty desire. So she's like, look out for Lisa. She's not who she appears to be. Lisa is clearly one of the 7 archetypal characters we'll talk about towards the end here. And so is Dr. Kaufman. I mean, they're all here. It's wonderful storytelling. So let's talk about Harry Mason for a minute. The name Harry is derived from German, which means he who rules his own house. A ruler of one's own house in the occult means one who has deep understanding and dominion over him or herself. Remember the Oracle at Delphi? That's exactly what's going on. If Harry isn't there yet, he soon will be in this game. The name Mason means stone. A vital part of alchemy is the Philosopher's Stone, which is the agent or person that is actually doing the great work. In other words, Harry represents the agent or conduit through which the alchemical process is operating. So he's the material, or he is the conduit by which this process of alchemy and enlightenment is occurring. Dahlia is trying to use that to her advantage because her intention is not pure. Harry's is, because he's only looking for his daughter. His intention is as pure as it's the purest of all characters in the game. Even Alessa's, because Alessa's under a spell right now anyway. So Dahlia is trying to lead Harry down this path because she knows his intention is pure and she can only get what she wants through pure intention. She doesn't have it, but Harry does. Silent Wolf, what's up, buddy? You ever thought it was interesting that the antique shop had a green lion eating the sun? This cutscene of Alessa walking into the Green Lion antique shop appears briefly before he awakes and meets Dahlia again. You gotta wonder, like, wait, what's the significance of this? Why did they put this in here? We see Alessa entering the shop just like Harry is about to. The real question is, who saw Alessa enter the shop? Are we so sure that it was Harry? Let's talk about this green lion thing, because this is such a huge thing in alchemy. So the green lion devouring the sun in alchemy marks the halfway point of completion for the alchemical process. Therefore, Harry entering into the green lion marks the halfway point in the actual game. And we'll go through all 7 steps, by the way. It's shown to us very clearly in this game. So while in the antique shop, Harry meets Cybil Bennett, the Blessed Prophet again. And she, of course, is Harry's mentor along this journey. She also tells him that she's seen a girl running towards the lake. You have to ask yourself, why didn't Cybil follow the little girl? And why doesn't Harry tear off after this little girl now? This girl that was running towards Toluca Lake. A cop that gives away her gun and stops chasing a little girl in order to follow a grown man. As they discuss the hidden passage Harry has discovered, Cybil says, "I'm a cop, I should go." Harry issues, and this is the most emotional Harry gets through the entire game, by the way, guys. I don't know if you noticed this. Harry issues a very emphatic, "No, I'm going." This is something he must do alone. The hero is about to face the unknown yet again. There's an occult ceremony taking place in this antique shop. You've got the sun being devoured by the lion. You know, that sign outside of the shop. It's clearly telling us this is the middle stage of the alchemical process, and inside is the ceremony. We're going to analyze this ceremony and describe exactly what's going on here. This is pretty good stuff. Harry remarks that he's never seen this before. Another indication of the uncharted territory or the unknown, right? The hero's entering the unknown yet again. So the hero must face this in order to reach a state of transformation and progress along his alchemical journey. He finds an axe on the wall and notices some powder in the chalice on the altar. Only after taking the axe do the flames appear from the chalice. The axe is a symbol of the destructive impulses possessed by the alchemist. In this ritual, by choosing, and this, remember, this is intent, pure intention. So by choosing to take the axe, Harry makes this acknowledgement of his own destructive impulses. This fire burns away any of the impurities in the gold, metaphysically. So the green lion devouring the sun represents the burning off of any impurities or earthly destructive tendencies. So it's acknowledging those destructive tendencies within yourself, bringing them to the light where they can dissolve, the light or the fire, right? So you have to take them from, you're bringing them up from the unconscious, the deepest, darkest, destructive desires, bringing them to the light, confronting them, and then having them dissipate in the fire and be purified. So this is interesting because after that fire comes out of the chalice, the ceremony is complete. A few moments later, all of a sudden, like inexplicably, it's like you got to wonder, like, wait, why is Harry all of a sudden in front of Lisa? But it happens just like this. Harry finds himself unconscious again, and he wakes up sitting across from Lisa Garland in the other world. So he's, boom, all of a sudden he's in the unconscious skin. Like, huh? What's going on here? So we know Lisa is really an unconscious aspect of Harry, since the only time he sees her is where? In the other world, in the unconscious. In this encounter, Lisa tells Harry about the town's history and hints to what she thinks might be going on in Silent Hill. She even uses the word occult stuff. She says weird occult stuff, black magic, that kind of thing. Of course, we know that occult doesn't necessarily mean black magic. It can, and Dolly is using it. She's using her occult knowledge for enslavement, for control. She's a sorcerer. So Harry wakes up yet again after talking to Lisa. You got to think, like, wait, what's happening here? What's going on? Like, you know, what is this all about? So at this point, Harry is floating in and out of consciousness. Remember, he's in the Green Lion. The fire comes out of the chalice. All of a sudden, he's in the unconscious. And then he wakes up again. He's not sure what's real and what's not real. He's in the unknown, but he's flipping back and forth. And so he's in a state of confusion, which is the unknown. So notice that he wakes up in the other world again. And so we know that he's still deep in the unconscious. So his journey is far from complete. But he's doubting, like, his reality at this point. That's part of the process, though. As we enter the second half of the game, something very interesting starts to happen. This is really cool. The first half of this game has introduced us to many core concepts and symbols involved in light occultism or magic. However, now the game begins to reveal the symbols and concepts of dark occultism, black magic, or sorcery. Remember the opposing yin and yang energies? Yeah, it's being demonstrated all over again, but only this time with light versus dark magic. So in order to begin to understand the dynamic of magic versus sorcery, we need to understand the occult concept of polarity as described in the Kybalion. So let go of what you know about opposites that we discussed before, because there's a new level to this. It's not that, Silent Wolf. So these opposing energies, yin yang, masculine, feminine, sun, moon, etc., just let's put that on the table for a second. Put that to the side. It's time we talk about the true nature of light and darkness. So everything is dual in this world, or we think it is. We think we think opposites are different from each other. Everything has poles. Everything has its pair of opposites. Like and unlike are the same. Opposites are actually identical in nature. It's expressed pretty well in the Kybalion. So opposites are identical in nature but different in degree. Extremes meet, all truths are but half-truths, all paradoxes may be reconciled. This sounds like a bunch of gibberish, right? This is the way of thinking in the Hebrew tradition. Two sides are actually one. You remember Gandalf the Grey, and who's the other guy? You remember the other guy? That's great, Zombie Queen. Good sound drop there. Gandalf the Grey and you guys know the other wizard. They both started off as good. That's kind of the idea. So two sides are actually one. So a conflict can arise inside of the one instead of having two ready-made opposites, as in the Persian worldview. Another example is in the Bible, the story of God and Satan, right? Satan was actually created as an angel. Satan wasn't always Satan. Satan wasn't always evil. Satan in Hebrew means opposer. He was opposing God, but he wasn't always Satan, right? He was created as an angel, one of, I guess, God's top guys. I don't know. And then something happened and he had turned, but he began as good. So good and evil are actually, they're separated by degree, but at their source, they're actually the same thing. Here are the 7 steps of alchemy shown to Harry in the mall. This is really crazy stuff. Harry sees images flashed on the mall's TV, and he sees Cheryl, he sees Alessa, and many symbols he doesn't understand. Psychologically, these seals can appear or manifest in humans in several different orders. Typically, lead is first and gold is the last, of course. So here are the 7 steps, actually. The 7 steps of alchemy are described in the Emerald Tablet. The first known written description was from an Arabic text around the 6th century. It was first translated into Latin in the 12th century. Sir Isaac Newton was one such notable alchemist to have translated this ancient text. Remember, there is an exoteric and esoteric alchemy. Each of these 7 steps correlate an element, a planet, and a metal. The same can be said of the 7 Olympic spirits, which symbolize the 7 steps of alchemy in Silent Hill. Here's an alchemical chart. These are the 7 steps of alchemy, all correlated by the planets. Here's the sun. Here's Venus, the moon, Saturn, Jupiter. Corpus is actually the body. He's standing on water and earth. I mean, there's quite a lot going on here, but this is the unification of the 4 elements, right? You've got water in the lower right, earth, lower left, fire, and the air in the upper right. Remember those symbols that show up on the TV screen? Well, each of these is one of the 7 Olympian spirits, and they all represent the 7 steps of alchemy. The first is the seal of Aratron. So this image here is Aratron. The first stage of alchemy is called calcination. Remember the burning, the body figure, which we think is Alessa, at Midwich, burning? That's calcination. This involves heating a substance over an open flame until it is reduced to ashes. Psychologically, this represents the destruction of the ego and our attachments to material possessions. Aratron's element is fire, his planet is Saturn, his metal is lead. The second stage is the seal of Bethor. The second stage of alchemy is dissolution. This involves dissolving the ashes from calcination in water. Psychologically, this is a further breakdown of the artificial structures of the psyche by total immersion in the unconscious. Bethor's element is water, his planet is Jupiter, his metal is tin. The third stage is the seal of Phaleg. This is separation. This is the isolation of the components by filtration, discarding unworthy material. Remember, this is all spiritual alchemy that is being shown to Harry. Psychologically, this is the rediscovery of our essence and reclaiming of our visionary gold, previously rejected by the masculine. It is a conscious process of deciding what to discard and what to reintegrate into ourselves. So it's really it's inspecting some of that unconscious material, bringing it into the light and making conscious decisions about it. Phaleg's element is air, his planet is Mars, his metal is iron. The fourth seal is the seal of Haggith. This stage of alchemy is called conjunction, recombining the saved elements from separation into something new. Remember, this is like integration. Psychologically, it's the empowerment of the true self, the union of masculine and feminine, which form a new intuitive state of consciousness. Haggith's element is earth, his planet is Venus, his metal, copper. The fifth seal is Phul. This stage of alchemy is called fermentation. This is the decomposition of the hermaphroditic child from conjunction, resulting in resurrection. Psychologically, this process is the inspiration of spiritual power, breakdown of the persona, meditation, etc. Phul's element is sulfur, his planet is the moon, his metal is mercury. The sixth seal is Ophiel. This stage of alchemy is distillation, the boiling of fermented solution to increase purity. Psychologically, agitates and sublimates forces of the psyche to remove impurities from the inflated ego. Ophiel's element is mercury. His planet is Mercury, his metal is silver. The seventh is the seal of Ankh. And this appears in red, by the way. The seventh and final stage of alchemy is coagulation. This is the precipitation of the purified ferment from distillation. Psychologically, coagulation is first sensed as a new confidence. And we're going to see this in a big way in Harry. A new confidence that is beyond all things. It incarnates and releases the ultima materia of the soul or astral body. Ankh's element is salt, his planet is the sun, and his metal is gold, obviously. We're going to see this in Harry, and so it's unmistakable. Here are the 7 Olympian spirits here that were just put on the screen for Harry in the mall. And this is kind of a human correlation to the 7 Olympian spirits that I found online. And of course, we have the 4 basic elements too.
Wow, you are some kind of sorcerer.
Thanks, Zombie Queen. Good job on that sound drop. I owe you 1,000 loot. He sees all of those strange symbols, and then he goes upstairs. And after he ascends the mall escalator, a section of that floor gives way, and he falls to the ground, and he finds himself face to face with a giant larva. This is so significant. Harry is unable to vanquish the creature. Instead, it smashes through a window, which also makes it possible for Harry to leave. The creature really seems to be leading Harry instead of trying to escape, as we shall see later. Harry finds himself back at Alchemy Hospital once more. This is indicative of the theme of transformation which is about to occur. After learning of an alternate path to Toluca Lake, Harry asks Lisa to come with him. Of course, Lisa isn't going anywhere. She's an aspect of the unconscious mind. Remember, the only time she appears to Harry is in the other world. She tells him, "No, I feel I'm not supposed to leave this place." Having exited Alchemia, the transformation or metamorphosis is nearly complete. So the larva monster from the mall reappears, but this time it's transformed into a moth. The occult significance of the moth cannot be understated. So this is the Death's Head moth. The Death's Head Hawk-Moth, rather. This represents the death of the old self and a new beginning. Larvae will leave their host plant in search of a safe place to transform. The larva is leading Harry away so his own transformation can occur. The moth seeks out light in the darkness. In other words, bringing the unconscious in unity with the conscious. We shall see some key changes in Harry from this point in the game forward. Harry vanquishes the moth that just left the chrysalis stage. By the way, the word chrysalis originates from the Greek chrysos, which means gold. Harry's own alchemical journey is complete. For several seconds, all that is shown is bright white light, and we can hear sirens sounding the all clear, signaling Harry's transmutation. The darkness of the other world has been lifted, and Harry finds himself back in the conscious world. Harry is a changed man. We'll see Harry actually speak to this fact. Now it's time to talk about what it represents, as this is a depiction of the final stage of alchemy. This is the end result, or transmutation. So this is the unification of male and female. And if you look at this, you can actually see these are the 7 steps of alchemy. So the next part of the game is Toluca Lake. So the name Toluca has its origins in the word Tolocan, originating from the Aztecs of Mexico. Tolo means God, while the suffix can means place of. So Toluca translates to place of God. As we shall see, the most significant events in the game take place here. Notice that Harry cannot go to Toluca Lake until his own transformation is complete, even when Cybil tells him that she saw a little girl running to the lake. He still can't go there. Harry is now in the Toluca Lake resort area and saves Dr. Kaufman in the real world. This is where the doctor's shady side is truly revealed to Harry as he learns the real story about Dr. Kaufman. In other words, the darkness is brought into the light, or the unconscious has been made conscious for Harry. There is a notable shift in Harry at this point. Remember the metamorphosis with the moth? He acknowledges the difference in himself and in his surroundings. And here in this screenshot, he says, not again. He feels the other world starting to take over, but he says, no, this time it feels different. So clearly we have a transformation in Harry. And he also tells Cybil about this as well. So Harry meets up with Cybil on the boat and relays his recent changes to her. The previous alchemical ceremonies and rites of passage Harry experienced have served to transform and prepare him to face his biggest challenge. So here's some of his dialogue with Cybil. He says, at first I thought I was losing my mind. Remember, he was flipping in and out of the conscious world and the unconscious world, and he didn't know what was real. You know, he makes that comment. And then he says, but now I know I'm not. I think I'm finally beginning to understand what that lady was talking about. So he's starting to get some sort of clarity. He's still being deceived by Dahlia, but his intention is pure. He's definitely on the path. Dahlia Gillespie appears to tell Harry about the darkness which threatens the town. She tells him to use the Flauros. Only true will brought into the object will cause any effect to manifest. The Flauros represents the alignment of Harry's thoughts, emotions, and actions. Remember the Trinity? Same thing. The Wizard of Oz, right? Heart, mind, and courage, same thing. They all have to be in alignment, and your intention has to be pure in order for the Flauros to work. So in the next cutscene, Harry is shown standing at the top of the seal of Metatron, with Alessa at the bottom. By all indications, it appears that a ceremony is about to begin, right? However, Alessa fades away, leaving Harry all by himself. The ceremony cannot begin because the seal is not yet complete. This incompleteness refers to missing participants, not missing objects or symbols.